Hello and welcome to the Anglican Flaneurs. Today we're going to be walking down Tooley Street in southeast London. So we've just walked over London Bridge, and for a few moments we're just going to take in some wonderful views of the City of London and the River Thames. We've been running for about a year and a half now at Anglican Flaneurs, and in that time I hope that we've taken views of the City of London from just about every angle, every time of year: spring, winter, summer, autumn, and just about every weather condition. And of course, while we're here, we're taking another view of the Shard and the Baby Shard, which we've also filmed many times before. Today I'm going to try and narrate the video. I'm going to give it another try. It's not something I'm particularly comfortable with, but I think it was my son the other day who was saying, give it a go, and for once, Dad, try and sound normal and not sound like a complete knob when you're doing a vlog. So this is best efforts at not trying to sound like a knob and trying to sound normal. This Art Deco masterpiece, the St Olave's House, was built between 1928 and 1932 with the Hays Wharf Company. And it was built on the site of the former church of St Olave. It is built of white Portland stone and now houses the London Bridge Private Hospital's consulting and administration rooms. The building is Grade 2 listed, and as I said previously, built in the Art Deco style. For those of a certain age or with good memories, you might remember the London Dungeon being here at Tooley Street. It relocated in 2013 to County Hall. The location here at Tuley Street was appropriate, as it was well known that medieval punishments were commonplace here. In 1651, Alexander Hay took over the lease on a brews house in Hays Lane, and the business empire its founder developed gave its name to Hays Wharf, once famed for its tea clippers. For many centuries, this area of London was known as London's larder, with its many wharves, and I guess it's not too different today with nearby Borough Market. You can see a caricature of the children's TV character Morph as a beefeater, and these figures will be seen in London. I think there's about 70 of them, from the 19th of June to the 20th of August. Tuley Street had a reputation for being a rather rough area of London. I'm just going to confirm that with the following. The press or the press gang is the taking of men into a military or naval force by compulsion, with or without notice. Now, Tuley Street was apparently rife with press gangs in the 18th and 19th century, as were many areas nearby, such as Bankside. In 1861, the area was devastated by the Great Fire of Tooley Street. It was London's largest fire since the Great Fire of London in 1666. Now, it raged for about 2 weeks. As a result of this fire, the London Fire Brigade Act was passed in 1865, and this led to a publicly funded fire service, which was London's really first real fire brigade up until this point. Insurance companies would fight fires. You had to pay for this insurance, and it was often seen with a small plaque outside any building in London, and the fire brigade, as it was then, would only put out the fire if they could see this plaque for their company. To our left we can see the more London development. Now this includes City Hall, an amphitheatre, and also contains upmarket office blocks, shops, restaurants, cafes, and also a pedestrianised area with open-air sculptures. And next week, if you're interested in Wimbledon, that's where you'll be able to go and watch it at lunchtime. And over the road is the Shipwright Arms. I've never been in there, but it's an example of the type of trades that were once in this area, and there was an excellent mural depicting those trades I showed you a few moments ago in the vlog. I'm showing you the Lowry building, built in 1887. Couldn't find out much history of it. I guess it may have been a wharf or warehouse, but it's now upmarket flats, which is no great surprise. We see the former fire brigade station, built in 1879, and is now meant to be a very good restaurant. Again, I've never been there. We see Magdalen House, a former Edwardian coffee warehouse, which again has been converted into modern office accommodation and private rental accommodation. This just might be the area of the walk I was most excited about today. Now we're in Pottersfield Park, and this has been used as both a burial ground and as a site for pottery manufacture over the centuries. This area was the hub of the English delftware trade. In 1618, a young Dutchman, Christian Wilhelm, built and ran the pickle herring pottery here, and it's roughly where City Hall stands today. It's another example of how immigration built London. Now, we've seen it before at Spitalfields when we talked about the Huguenots coming over with the weaving trade. We've also talked about the Windrush generation saving the NHS after the Second World War. Where would this great city of London be without immigration? We've now come to St John's Churchyard, which was originally known as Horsley Down, field where horses lie down. The lush grassy area in the waterlogged fields close to the Thames was an ideal pasture area for trading men's horses. The London City Mission bought the site from the Church Commissioners in 1974 for just under £38,000, 6 years after its closure in 1968. The Church of St John Horsley Down was built to the designs of the great Nicholas Hawksmoor, one of the heroes of the Anglican Flaneurs, and John James between 1726 and 1733. The most distinctive feature of the church was its unusual spire, shaped in the form of a tapering column and topped by a weather vane depicting a comet. The great architectural critic Nicholas Pevner called it silly but wonderful, and a symbol of South London. Again, during the 18 months of the Anglican Flaneurs, we've shown you many views of Tower Bridge, and it's our emblem. But this is a new view, I think, of the Great Bridge. For those of you who watched the Anglican Flaneurs, and there's very few of you, will know that we love some local authority housing. An example we have here is a 5 apartment block development called Devon Mansions. There are originally 549 flats, and it has a distinctive yellow brick design. We're showing you some streets just off Tuley Street. We're mainly concentrating on Tooley Street, but just walking away from the street for a while, I saw this development that I rather liked, called the Flag Store. And just deviating off Tooley Street for a while, we came across this gem called Jacob, the Circle Dray Horse. The famous carriage dray horses were stabled on this site from the early 19th century, and they delivered beer around London from the brewery on Horsley Down Lane by Tower Bridge. In the 16th century, this area became known as Horsley Down, which derives from horse lie down, a description of working horses resting between crossing London Bridge to the City of London. And we made mention of this when we were walking through St John's Churchyard a few moments ago. And apologies here, we've shown you the view down Shed Thames before in a video just before Christmas on a cold winter's December day, but it's always worth recording. I love these wharves and warehouses and the connection bridges between them. It always reminds me of a scene from the musical Oliver. We'll get another view of Devon Mansions and the Shard behind it, and I particularly like this view. Just looking down Tuley Street is one of my favourite views for today. And on the theme of local authority housing, we're now passing the Arnold Estate. We'll soon be walking along Tanneries Street, and again the street name tells you a lot about the industry in the area. Tanneries weren't exactly the most pleasant places to work in or to live near them. The actual process involved in the working of leather is something that's rather unpleasant and smelly. We'll also make mention of a fine building we've just passed to, 83 Tooley Street, which was purchased in 1899 by the St Olave's Guardians. We've dropped in a picture of the New Leather Warehouse and Skin Market of 1833 on Weston Street. This is just south of London Bridge Station. We would have been very close to it today, and again it just shows an example of the type of industries in the area. A few moments ago we walked along Tanneries Street, so we did a little chat on the, shall we say, the unpleasantness of the business. The smells of this area must have been quite unpleasant. There was also a famous vinegar and malt factory nearby as well. We're now in the wonderfully named Druid Street. Who doesn't love a Druid? And soon we can see a plaque that shows the terrible tragedy of the Druid Street arch bombing, which occurred on October the 25th, 1940. A bomb fell through the railway arch, killing 77 people sheltering from the air raid. I've just passed a specialist car repair works specialising in Porsches, so just seen 10-15 rather smart Porsches. We're coming to the end of our walk, and before we finish we'll see two famous statues. One of Samuel Bourne Bevington, member of the Bermondsey leather manufacturing dynasty and a philanthropist. He is represented as the first mayor of the Metropolitan Borough of Bermondsey. And now on to the great socialist Ernest Bevin. He was founder of the Transport and General Workers Union, and served in Churchill's cabinet during the Second World War as Minister of Labour, and then in the post-war government of Clement Attlee as Foreign Secretary. A true great servant of the Labour and Socialist movement. And that's it from the Anglican Flaneurs. I hope you enjoyed the commentary.